In a prior video, I walked you through the four-step process of preparing a reconciliation for a relatively easy balance sheet reconciliation. In this video, we'll prepare an account reconciliation that is more difficult because it does not have a system subledger. Just as a reminder, this is the four-step process for preparing balance sheet reconciliations. The first step is to obtain reports from your accounting system. The second step is the process of reconciling the GL account to the subledger. The third step is the process of preparing the account reconciliation, which includes the cover page, the GL detail, and the subledger. Finally, in step 4, you're reviewing the reconciliation one more time and signing off on it. Subsequently, the reviewers will also review and sign off on the reconciliation. That level of sign-off can depend on how material the account is to the overall financial statements. The first report that is needed to prepare the balance sheet account reconciliation is the general ledger for the balance sheet account you're reconciling. You'd obtain that GL report from the company's accounting system. Ask someone on your team for the query if you're not sure where to find it. The GL report should show the balance at the beginning of the month, activity for the month, which could be just a few debits or credits, but can also include hundreds or even thousands of transactions, and the ending balance. In QuickBooks, click on Accountant Tools, click on Reports, and then scroll down until you get to the section called For My Accountant. That's where you'll find the General Ledger Report. You can also use the QuickBooks Transaction Detail Report and filter for the account, or you can run the QuickBooks Balance Sheet Report and drill down on the specific account balance for the detailed GL report. So there are a few different ways to obtain the General Ledger Report. For this video, we're going to work on the balance sheet account reconciliation for undeposited funds. An asset account for our QuickBooks sample company, Craig's Designs and Landscaping Services, for the month of September. The undeposited funds account is typically used when the company accepts credit cards from the customers in payment for invoices. But the credit card processor has not yet deposited the funds into the company's account. That means that the company ran the customer's credit card through the credit card terminal, but the credit card processor still takes a few days to deposit it into the company's bank account. So when the invoice is recorded, the system debits the undeposited funds account and credits revenue. And when the company receives the electronic funds from the credit card processor, a debit to cash and a credit to undeposited funds is recorded. And of course, issues can happen along the way between transactions submitted and deposits received. So we want to know that our GL account contains only the most recent transactions, and there are no old transactions outstanding. Here's a general ledger report for Craig's Designs and Landscaping Services for June to September 2024. This is an example where no prior balance sheet reconciliation was prepared, and we have to run a GL report for several months to understand the activity and the balance. The GL report shows the first transaction on 6/27 and total debits of $3,757.42 and credits of $1,694.90 and the ending balance of $2,062.52. How do we know that we got the correct general ledger report and balance? We'll double check the balance on the trial balance report for the undeposited funds account. This is the trial balance report for Craig's Design and Landscaping Services as of September. It also shows $2,062.52 for the undeposited funds account. So now we can feel pretty good about having the right general ledger report because that report has the same ending balance that we see here on the trial balance report. And we can now move on to getting the rest of our reports that are needed to prepare the account reconciliation for this account. There's no system subledger report available for this account. As a reminder, a system subledger report is a system report that keeps track of all the debits and credits in an account, ticks and ties them against each other, and then prepares a report that shows what debits or credits are still open. Because there is no system subledger report available for the undeposited funds account, we have to prepare our own subledger report. And to do that, we export the general ledger detail report to Excel. And using a pivot table, we summarize the data by customer name and amount columns. When we summarize by customer name, all customer transactions are grouped together. The amount column shows a positive amount when the invoice is recorded and a negative amount when the payment is recorded. So when both the invoice and the payment are recorded, they should net to zero, and only the open amounts by customer appear. Our pivot table shows us that there are two customers with open balances. One is Cool Cars for $1,675.52, and the other one is Freeman Sporting Goods for $387. So that tells us that our GL balance of $2,062.52 consists of two open customer amounts. You should still verify that that makes sense based on what you know about the business. I want to mention that there wasn't much activity in this account. Some accounts contain hundreds and even thousands of transactions. In addition, it was pretty easy to prepare a pivot table because all transactions were tagged with a customer name. In the case of your reconciliation, you might need to customize your general ledger report to add additional columns of data, such as invoice number, to be able to summarize the data with a pivot table, or even run additional reports that provide that detail and bring that into your general ledger detail with a VLOOKUP or XLOOKUP. One more tip, if the amounts in the account are all different, meaning all invoice amounts tend to be very different, then you can also use the amount as text, and a pivot table will summarize on the amount. That's been very helpful for me when there were thousands of transactions, but not many like amounts. That brings us to step 2 of the 4-step process, which is reconcile the account. That means that you compare the ending GL balance from the GL detail report to the subledger report. Rather than using the pivot table, I prepared a summary of our pivot table, listing only the two open amounts. Both the subledger that we prepared and this general ledger balance agree. Let me also mention that auditors typically prefer system subledger reports rather than manually prepared ones. Auditors believe that a system report is more accurate because it went through system testing when it was implemented. In addition, it's also a lot more work to prepare a subledger report, especially if there are a lot of transactions. That is why it's a good idea to watch out for opportunities to have the IT team prepare subledger reports for the accounting team. System implementations and updates where the accounting team has to provide requirements and test cases are often a good opportunity to sneak in a requirement for a subledger report. It won't always be approved, but if you don't ask the answer, well, you know the rest. And we are now ready to move on to step 3 of preparing the reconciliation. Step 3 now consists of preparing the reconciliation by updating the cover page for the date and the header, the general ledger balance, and the subledger balance. Tab A is updated by copying and pasting the new general ledger detail. And tab B is updated with the subledger report that we created as of September. Be sure to double check that there is no difference between the GL and the subledger. Enter any notes if applicable. Also, I found that it's a good idea to maintain a balance sheet reconciliation checklist You're likely to be in a rush when preparing the reconciliation, and even if you're not in a rush, it's easy to overlook steps in routine activities. So checklists will help you double check your own work. Final step is to look over the details of the reconciliation one more time and then sign off on it at the top of the reconciliation cover page. As I mentioned before, add any notes that will help the reviewer to understand the reconciliation, especially if you've done any research on any items in your reconciliation or any follow-up. Don't keep it to yourself. Add that information in the note section. Both the preparer and the reviewers need to sign off. The number of reviewers depends on your sign-off policy. It's not uncommon for complex and varying material accounts to be signed off by multiple reviewers or for the accounting team to update other teams about the reconciliation, especially if the account involves complicated estimates, calculations, and assumptions. Many companies also have internal and SOX controlled checklists that need to be updated in addition to updating the balance sheet reconciliation tracker. I have a separate video about the importance of the balance sheet reconciliation tracker and why it is crucial to maintain one for a successful month close. That's it for this step-by-step video on preparing an account reconciliation for an account that does not have a system subledger report.